What's
Hey
going on,
guys,
everybody?
what's going on? It is the Thundercats lair, and man, I love that intro, JP. It is absolutely
Yeah,
crazy. If you can see, hopefully you guys can see us on all channels. Guys, welcome to if you're watching us from Instagram, if you're watching us from YouTube, welcome, guys. We are the Thundercats lair, and we have a very special guest, as you can see right here, Mr. Brian Flynn from Super7. Brian, how are you tonight?
Good. How are you guys?
Not too bad, not too bad.
we're great, man. We're great.
Absolutely.
I see a giant cat slayer hiding in the background back there.
Oh, it's not hiding. It's very much exactly
Yeah.
where and you know you
And
see
the
the
thunder
little,
tank right there,
little thunder tank right there.
along with the helmets and everything.
Oh yeah, that's a stormtrooper. I took that helmet from someone who didn't deserve it. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh wow!
Nah, I'm still transitioning, moving around and such. So guys, we have a very exciting episode for you, and we are super excited to be talking to Brian of Super7, and JP, of course, has a lot of great questions. So this is going to be a lot of fun. So guys, I'm going to step back a little bit. These two are going to get going, and I'll jump in periodically to see how things are going. And basically, this is going to be great. Guys, enjoy yourselves. Hope to see you soon. So take care.
And he's gone.
So what's up, man? Yeah, no. So, hey, man, it's really nice to catch up with you. It's been a while since we had like a formal video chat.
Yes.
But super excited to catch on everything. Unfortunately, I don't have the Thundercats spread behind me. I'm in my 5-year-old daughter's bedroom.
Look, there's rainbow mermaids. It's all love here. Everybody's in a good mood.
I wanted to get like a nice canvas portrait of Thundercats to put on the wall, but I couldn't get to the storage today on time for the background. But hey, this is our reality, right? We're all like, most of us are parents. Honestly, a lot of people that are Thundercats.
I think just about everyone that is collecting Thundercats is a parent at this point.
Absolutely, man. But yeah, man, I gotta tell you, with the holidays right around the corner, Thundercats fans have a lot to look forward to with the current release of Ultimates, with Safari Joe, Wave 13, and which is now shipping.
Yep.
And the surprise pre-sale, man, of Wave 14. It looks like there will be a lot of new toys under the Christmas tree this year for Thundercats fans. So I was just curious, when was the decision to transition to pre-sales on Thundercats made? And does this mean that fans can look forward to future pre-sales happening more often now that there is no more pre-order model?
It's a catch-22. There's sort of both sides. So there will definitely be, we're trying to do more of a pre-book, sort of pre-release, pre-sale, whatever you want to call it, model versus a full-blown pre-order. Especially as we get a little later into these lines, it gets sort of tricky, but we've also been trying to get there. We know that while we know that everybody that's been buying Thundercats from us for all this time, which is wonderful, and we appreciate it, will pre-order, it's still not the same as when it's in stock. Like the moment it's in stock, there's a lot of people that will buy it. And so we've been trying to move to more of an in-stock model because we have a better idea of how many people want things. So, we can watch, wave by wave, how is it selling? What's the curve? Are we seeing spikes? Are we seeing declinations? Are we seeing different things like that? So we've got a pretty good handle of, at this point, when you're in wave 739 of Thundercats, how many people are going to show up. So at that point, we haven't seen a lot of variation the last couple waves. It's been a pretty steady number. So we can be like, all right, we're going to target roughly that number then, and let's just go ahead and get started. At the same time, they were always planned to be coming out, here at the end of the year. And but everybody's just like, where are they? Where are they? Where are they? And so it just got to a point where we're like, all right, let's go ahead and get these out. and tell everybody that they're coming and get hey, pre-book them now. They can show up, that kind of stuff like that. I think people feel much better about it, but I still think it's going to be mostly the same crew, mostly the same people that we've been talking to. But yeah, it also it's nicer to not have to wait a year and a half for your figures to show up. That's the case in some cases, but not in all.
Right. Well, now that you mentioned that whole year and a half, I mean, obviously the waiting window for new figures is going to shorten, right? For consumers, because these things are already in production. You're not waiting on tallied numbers from orders to determine when production begins. You're already,
or that if we're going to make it or not, quite frankly. Right.
So, for example, in this case, we are getting Red Eye and we're getting King Lionel. Now, obviously, I know you addressed this with Beebs a few months back. There was leaked images of this wave.
Oh yeah, leaked like way early.
So everybody's wondering, where's
Wizra? Where's Wizra? Am I going to get my Wizra? So the ideal scenario would have been there were 3 figures in this wave and 3 figures in the next wave. Wizra is not ready to deliver on time the same way the other 2 are. So you're getting 2 figures in this wave and you're going to get 4 figures in next wave.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So
and it's
I don't want to say which wave he was in, but it would sure make sense.
It's still going to be a pre-sale though, like going forward.
Yeah, it'll be the same thing. Yeah.
So the number of figures is going to vary, is what you're saying, basically.
No, it wasn't planning on varying. It was planning on being 3 and 3, but because we were just Wizra wasn't right yet, and they're coming and we're going to put them out and we've got a date that we've got to hit. So Wizra got bumped into the next wave to make sure the figure's exactly right.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Well, that's good to know.
Sometimes things go, I mean, for everybody that knows through all the pre-orders that you've done over the years, Jorge, is that they, certain ones take a little bit longer, and that's usually because 3 of the figures are right and 1 figure we need to tweak a little bit longer. And this one was just dragging behind. But rather than slow everything down, we just said, all right, we'll just do these 2 and we'll just move him forward because we've got the Thundercats customers used to 4 figures in a wave, so they'll be okay.
Okay, that's cool because, I guess it's just a one-off that we're doing 2.
You'll get 2 this wave, you'll get 4 next wave, and then when the wave after that hits, it'll be 3 again. Nice. So it should have been 3, 3, 3, but instead it'll be 2, 4, 3.
So not sure if you can answer this question or not, but what are you predicting the time period gaps are going to be between pre-sales? They're going to be like
about 6 months.
6 months?
It's about 6 months if I remember right, because you got to remember we're balancing Thundercats, we're balancing SilverHawks, and then there's certain other water series that people like that comes from Third Earth.
Yeah.
So we got to balance all of them out. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so we had our buddy Miguel Bayon. You know him. He's the one that didn't let you sleep about the Spirit Jaga. But he did some really cool cartoons.
Those cartoons were hilarious, by the way.
Yeah, dude. He's something. He's really cool. He helped me collaborate. I did some art for the upcoming Multuniverse convention that we're doing in California. And I did an illustration of He-Man and Lion-O, and he helped me do the colors on it. He's a really cool cat.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really good to know, because honestly, I thought we were transitioning to 2 figures at a time. So it's exciting to know that we're going to keep in that tradition of the 3, which was what we did with the last wave.
Yeah, and it's sort of like, once again, I think for everybody out there, it's a little tougher, So how do we make this a little more affordable? Doing 3 figures instead of 4 makes it a little easier. I know everybody wants all 4, but it's just like I want to be as respectful as I can to everybody about how much and how often, and it's not cheap to make all this and to buy all this stuff. So
no, and the funny thing is, you're mentioning we're just talking about Ultimates, but
yes,
a lot of people are buying the DX stuff in retail. We just had Toy Colors Lion-O on DX drop at Target and other retailers as well as Snarf. So when you factor that into your Ultimates budget, it's still, it's a big.
Well, and it sort of depends. Like, for a lot of people that are buying Ultimates the whole time, they may not need that Snarf or they may not need that Lion-O. And so, but at the same time, there is, I would say that we're seeing already a renewed sort of interest in people that are able to get into the line. That, if you're trying to jump in now at wave 13, 14, 15, wherever we are, wherever you are, it's hard to find and it gets expensive. So they're jumping back, like, oh, do I want this figure? It's going to be all this. So the deluxe format allows a whole new group of people to get in. And if they decide they want the Ultimates afterwards because of accessories or whatever reasons that they have, they can always go back and get them. But at least you've got a place to start.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that in a place like, mass retail where you're getting the deluxes, you're not going to get into the really, really deep cuts the same way because their threshold for success is much higher. So you're going to have to stick with a little bit more of the heavier hitters. So not all of them will end up there either. So it's sort of a back and forth on that. It's a little dance, but we want people to have fun collecting Thundercats. And so, let's have fun with it and try to make it as easy as we can within reason. Everything's getting more expensive, but we're trying our best to keep it as affordable as we can.
Absolutely. No, it makes sense, and what you said, having those figures at mass retail at Target, it really opens up that audience of people that are not used to the pre-order model. They're just used to the, hey, look at what I found at Target today kind of thing,
Yeah.
So that really helps create awareness about the line, because it's crazy. But even though we're like so many years in with Thundercats Ultimates, there's still people today that send me a DM and they're like, what is this and where can I buy these? And I'm like,
like I didn't know they were making these. And it's like, well, yeah, because you can't walk out of your house and touch it.
Right.
You have to know where it's being sold or know somebody that has it. So it is. And then you've got a lot of people that are like, oh man, if you say Thundercats, they're like, oh yeah, cool. But then when they see the toy and you're like, now you're 8 years old again. Now it's like, oh wait, now I need this now. And I didn't think I needed it till I saw it in hand.
Yeah. So I had to ask, because I think I mentioned this to you last time we talked. And as we all know, this year was the 40th anniversary of Thundercats. It happened earlier this year. Surprisingly, we didn't get any commemorative releases to celebrate the milestone, such as like a vintage reproduction figure or any other special edition figures. Was that ever planned for this year, or is it something that just, because I know you guys had a pop-up at Comic-Con for another brand, but like, was that ever in the radar to do something big celebratory-wise for Thundercats?
We've talked about it. We've done some stuff in the past, obviously. I think it was more just that, if we were probably much earlier in the line, maybe. I think because we're so far down the well, it's a little bit hard. And then obviously what we're bringing to mass retail is already planned out. So like, how do we throw a party and get people excited about making Lion-O again? It's like, okay, we're getting to that point where it's like, I've got it. We're good.
Yeah.
So it's not that it was opposed to, there's only so many things we can do. And there also wasn't a push on the WB side at all for it either. So it while it may be like, hey, they didn't do anything for the 40th anniversary, but it's like, but yeah, we've been celebrating it for many, many years now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You could call that answer a bit of a cop-out, maybe. I'm not sure, but we talked about it, but in the end, there's really only room for one, big blowout every year. And so, we try to work through the different licenses. The way I sort of describe it is the booth inside San Diego Comic-Con. We kind of have to be a bit of a sampler plate, because it's like every one of our licensors are like, what are you doing for San Diego? What are you doing for San Diego? So I've got to have something from everybody. There's no time to really focus on one brand. So we only outside, once a year, we're like, all right, what's the one brand this year? And we try to rotate through different brands.
Of course. No, that makes sense. And I mean, what I was talking about was, well, one thing that has been in the conversation between Jay and I and other fans is, how Mattel has recently re-released direct reproductions of the LJN wrestlers, those rubber wrestlers.
Yeah.
So in a lot of people's minds, it's like, how viable is it to get direct reproductions of the LJN Thundercats figures?
I generally speaking, if you've heard me talk about before, I don't like making reproductions. And I say that because it's like those figures are real and they're rare and they were made and they were a time and you collected them. So if we take a separate, let me take it one step back. If we talk about it as a philosophical thing, say you have an original, issue Lion-O and it's worth, I don't know, $300 on card. There's demand for a reproduction because it's worth $300. But if you make a reproduction, generally speaking, what happens is the value of the original actually comes down. And when the value of the original comes down, then not only does the reproduction become worth less, but then there's less demand to buy the originals. And what I really don't like is when people try to pass off reproductions and parts onto originals. That really bothers me. But ultimately is if you go down that route, you end up cannibalizing yourself, and to the point where you actually destroy the market that you're actually promoting. So the only reason if a vintage Lion-O right now was $50 on the secondary market, there's no reason to make a reproduction of it, right?
Right.
And it's only because it's expensive. But the moment you make the reproductions, generally speaking, you will have some people that are on the outside, but generally speaking, the originals come down. Like if you look at vintage tin toys, for example, like a Mr. Atomic used to be a $15,000 tin, but then they made reproductions that are basically indistinguishable from the original. Like if you took it out loose, you left it outside maybe a little bit or something and put it out, and I think you couldn't pick it up at a flea market and know the difference. Well, over time, that thing plummeted down. Now, relatively speaking, it's still expensive, but it's like a $2,000 tin. And then the reproductions, though, aren't even worth the money that they charged when they were new, which was like $200 or $300, because they're just around and it's not a big deal and it's not special. So if you're going to reproduce something, you need to change it somehow, but then it's not a true reproduction. And then I kind of feel like, well, we're already in this vernacular. It's sort of like, same thing. Like I really dislike personally. So I don't want anybody taking this out of context and having me talk shit about somebody, but like when they do the Star Wars vintage reproduction figures and they're the exact same and the weapons are almost the same, and it's like, then somebody can fake that. It's like, what was special about it are that these are the originals. And if we're going to make something, let me make something new. Let me be additive to your collection, not reproduce what you already have. Does that make any sense at all?
Look, I'm 150% subscribed to what you're saying. And I talked to a lot of my fellow collectors. And what I think would be cool, and I think I talked to you about this before, was, how Marvel Legends does the retro figures, where essentially it's a modern figure with modern aesthetic, modern articulation, maintaining the classic silhouette, but it has a very like 90% accurate to the original blister card. I think if you were to do the wider, more LJN shaped card, re-released in Ultimates, maybe finagle a little bit with the sculpt where you can make it look a little more to fit that vintage silhouette, but still have modern articulation. You could reintroduce that. And once you get to the bottom of the well, like we kind of are, it will reinvigorate, I think, a lot of collectors to be like, oh shit, now I can get these LJN-esque but articulated vintage homage figures. You know what I'm saying? And not to do everybody, but like the core guys.
No, but I understand. I understand what you're talking about, and I understand the desire because, you know, when you hold the figure in your hand, it's one thing. When you see that figure on card, and you're like, oh my god, I want that, and you're like, they want $900 for it. Like, I can't justify that for basically for a card back, like especially if you already have the figure loose. So I understand what you're saying. I just as far as I just, if we're gonna reproduce something, you've got to do something different to it. I think straight reproductions. That's why, like, if I look at Turtles, you know, I feel like they've reproduced those figures too many times. But part of that is they have the tools, so they just go back to the molds and just make them again. So I don't know. I don't want this to be in any way. Everybody has a different point of view and a different opinion, which is completely valid. Because let's all take a step back. We're talking about collecting toys. So saying that somebody is collecting toys or making toys incorrectly is already like, you're a jerk. Just because I don't agree with it, don't mean I don't see that when they do that, that there's a whole group of people that are very, very excited about that and love those kind of toys. So I just want to be close the loop here, that I'm not bashing somebody else. It's just, I don't agree with that particular point of view, but that doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means I don't agree with it.
No, like I said, it makes total sense. For me, unfortunately, I don't have the budget to collect vintage Thundercats. I wish. The best I could do is find like some used ones that are fairly in good condition loose, but packaged vintage Thundercats is one of the most expensive secondary market collectibles out there. So
I 100% feel you when you're like, those are rad. Oh my God, they want 1,000. How much? 1,500 for that? Like,
it's insane.
It's hard to justify it,
to
say the least.
I guess it's just there's not a lot of those figures that were preserved in package, you know?
I could be wrong here, and somebody else will gleefully point it out. But I do believe that to the end of Thundercats, and part of their appeal for so many people, not just the cartoon, but that they spend a lot of time in places like KB, like closeouts. And if you're buying places like that, most of those kids are opening those toys because they're more affordable or whatever. So what they did do with Thundercats, as opposed to some other lines, is that they were very good about selling through the merchandise at discount or whatever and making sure they all got sold. And so then they just didn't survive in package the same way.
Yeah, it's possible because there's definitely, it's just very rare to come across like a minty mint or like a sealed Thundercats toy of any type, like whether it's a figure or a playset or a vehicle. They're very, very, very scarce, you know. But
I guess it's interesting. You know, most every toy show I go to, I always see a few. They're just, maybe it's because they're expensive and they don't sell.
Yeah, they're insanely expensive. I mean, like I saw the Safari Joe carded for like $900.
Yeah.
It's like, really? I'd rather get the Ultimates. You know what I mean?
You'd rather get, like, I'm doing the math in my head, like 13 Ultimates.
Yeah. And hey, by the way, kudos on this wave, because I was looking at the news when that wave was announced, and it was only 9 months from pre-order to delivery.
Yeah, so I mean, well, but once again, we had already started the process of like, we're going to make this one anyways, so we were further along.
Okay, that makes sense.
Might have been in the past. We were already going to make
much shorter waiting window, which is great. That's what we all want.
Now, I'm keenly aware, but it's one of those things where you have to also be confident that you know you're going to hit your number.
Yeah.
So like yeah. So other things might still be pre-orders, and then some won't be.
So I was wondering, with the release of the Sky Cutter that's coming out next year, that's a really rad vehicle, and it's awesome to have something for the mutants because so far everything's been kind of like for the Thundercats, they got their tank, they got their palace, their fortress, and then we got a mini rig. So what's in the horizon for mutants? Can we look forward to another mini rig or perhaps some sort of play set? I know that the climate right now with tariffs and stuff, it's a nightmare. But
we're not even going there. Yes.
Yeah, no,
it's terrible.
There's no point in going there. Like I had a toy line that is not happening for a while because of the tariffs. So
Yeah.
It's like tariffs is like the word that shall not be spoken right now.
Exactly.
But basically, like what do you have planned for the mutants? Because I think we need to kind of balance off that landscape.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff we have planned. Mutants specifically, there's a couple things. As far as vehicles, though, there's no vehicles in the lineups right now. Nothing like that. So it's not like, okay, here's another vehicle or play set. I mean, I think the cat slayer almost killed people that worked here. And so there's not a lot of enthusiasm on the team for making another play set at this time. We've laughed about Mum-Ra's tomb a few times, but I don't think anybody's really gotten that serious about it yet. Doesn't mean that we won't get to that stuff, but there's just like right now, it's like, okay, we did that. We did Sky Cutter. We did Mandora's motorcycle. We did the Thunder Tank. We've done it twice now, and then we did Cat Slayer. So it's like, I think we're good for the moment. Let's just wait and see what people are, as we keep moving through the line, what are people really, really asking for?
Yeah, like CB Hunt's mentioning a nosedive.
Yeah, no, it's not that we haven't talked about the nosedive. We've talked about all sorts of stuff, but can you move enough to make it work?
Right. That's the golden question.
Yeah.
So now that you mentioned the Thunder Tank version 2, that's something that was really unexpected. It was a surprise. Quite honestly, I can tell you, I wish you would have released that version first because I can't afford to have 2 Thunder Tanks. And but still, it's rad. It's cool. I love the inclusion of the toy version Panthro. That was really unexpected. It would have been really cool to do that retro nod where you would have had like the little window and you could see the Panthro on the box, But I'm curious to know, when will that mold make a reappearance? Is it going to be like a DX, or do you have plans for a new Ultimates with perhaps some extra accessories or parts? Because obviously the harness that you have on this Panthro is specific to the LJN aesthetic. It's more open in the chest area. So you could just, have a more accurate, cartoon accurate harness thrown onto that pin, the pinless body, and have like more Rankin Bass heads. I'm sure that's something you have planned, right? Is that something that
would make a whole lot of sense, wouldn't it?
Is that something we look forward to in 2026, maybe?
I don't know, but it would make a lot of sense. But I don't know. I cannot confirm or deny these rumors.
Yeah, your response is pretty reaffirming. That's good. So the same thing, now that we have gotten so far down the well, I've even lost count of how many Lionels have been made. I think I own the vast majority of them. But my question is, Chitara and Tigra, obviously they came out in DX. That was a great opportunity for collectors that couldn't get them in the main line. But what are the plans? Is there pinless bodies plans for those two also? Is there possibly, and this is me just throwing out that concept, is there any plans to maybe add like extra knee articulation for Chitara so she can pull off some really cool like humanly realistic running poses. Because I mean, you could put her in a running pose, but it really kind of looks like she broke her knee. You know what I mean? It's just the way that the articulation is broken up in the knee area, the way it like the calf hits up on the back of the thigh, it really just kind of limits the range of motion for the character. So I think it would be a great opportunity to experiment, at least where it's necessary. Maybe with Chitara, you know, you guys did it with Turtles, and not that you have to redo everybody again with double joints, but I think with Chitara, it's kind of more justified. Have you ever considered that?
I mean, we've talked about it a bit. I mean, once again, you know, back to same thing when you were talking about the Thunder Tank. The goal for the first part of the goal for the line is how do you make it as accurate to screen as possible, right? And the moment you start getting in, you know, the good news on the Turtles was the double joints were really easily hidden behind all those knee pads and elbow pads and stuff. So you don't see that unsightly part that double joints just make.
Right.
So then you get into that thing of aesthetics versus function. Where do we land? What are we trying to do? And the same thing, because this line is so deep already, switching to double joints on figures right now where they wouldn't match the rest of the line, I think would drive people up the fucking wall. Pardon my French. Oops. But like, you know, the few people that I've asked about it, they're like, oh, hell no. Like, I would love that, but no. I need them to match. I think at some point there's a way to look at I think there's something that we're going to try to look at that might be different than what you're thinking of, that can really make some of these people pose in a different way. So
Yeah, because I think that nowadays what's very different from back in the day, obviously, you know, like you say, trying to meet that silhouette and that aesthetic, is that nowadays you have a lot of toy photographers. A lot of people like to show off their collections and then like post them in like some cool poses or like put an AI background and stuff like that. So a lot of people are just like, damn, you know, I can't get my Chitara to look like she's naturally running. And even if you will do like something like speed lines that can attach to the legs or something, with a new Ultimates, something that would kind of favor that whole thing, which is basically your main power, which is the speed of the cheetah.
Yeah.
Where it's something new, something interesting, like you said, maybe not double hinge, but
yeah, I think, like I said, I think I understand, especially for her character, why that is the sort of question. I think that there's something else that we're working on that might help answer that, but I can't really talk about it right now. It's more of a 2027 thing, quite frankly. You know, that feels like forever, but it's middle of November 2025 right now. 26 is only 7 weeks away. Like, we're working on 27 right now. Like, there's something in there that I think will be interesting. So I don't want to get too far ahead. I think I also don't want to try to force something in there that doesn't feel correct, but I don't want to discount it either. And I understand exactly what you're asking about. So just, I would say in that way, maybe, you know, like, hold that thought. Just hold that thought. We know what you're asking about, and maybe there's a little something we talk about a little later.
You guys have done awesome stuff with the figures, so I'm sure that you'll come up with something cool and innovative and different that everybody's going to want to buy. At least us core Thundercats fans, you know, like, I understand that not everybody wants, you know, 2 or 3 versions of figures, let alone 10, but there are some of us still out there that will support the line to the very end, because that's at the end of the day, that's what it is. And now, you know, starting to be a toy creator myself, you have to explore the whole like checks and balances part, where it's like, how many times can I reuse this mold? How much money can I get out of this mold? And you know, because at the end of the day, if your business doesn't thrive, you can't continue making the figures, and you can't continue to create characters that people want. So it's all like, you know, it's a back and forth, and a lot of people don't see that. A lot of people have blinders, and they just focus on what they want in their collection, and I want this now, and and why is this price up now? And it's like, hey, apparently you don't tune into the news, you don't know what's going on in the world, you know what I mean? So it's very important, and the great thing with you is that you've always been very transparent with all that. So I think you've probably been the most vocal person in the sense of like giving that kind of in your shoes perspective to customers and fans about the ins and outs and the challenges of being in the toy industry, So that's something that's always been super informative and very appreciated.
Well, I hope it comes off that way. I mean, there's definitely some people that view it exactly the opposite, but
exactly,
But once again, the internet is a scary place in some parts and a lovely place in others. So
it
whatever.
really is.
We're just gonna try to make all this stuff and have fun with it. And hopefully everybody else is having fun with it. I mean, I don't think that when we start, like if we go back to when we started this line, people were like, I don't want to buy this line because they're not even going to finish the core team. And at this point, I mean, we're pretty much at the point where we've made more characters. I don't know if it's even or we're close to making more characters than the original line even.
Oh, dude, of course.
Yeah,
You're way past that.
Well, there's still some like somebody was like, "Where's Driller?" And it's like, hold on, we know who hasn't been made. Come on,
yeah, of course.
But it's like I don't think any of us would have been imagined that we were able to go this far and continue to keep moving forward with it, which is even better.
Yeah, no, it's super exciting and an amazing time, like I've said before, to be a Thundercats fan, and that's going to segue us into another really awesome toy line, which is from the Rankin Bass universe, and that's SilverHawks. And let me tell you, man, the last wave of Ultimates, that was a really exciting wave. We got the debut of Melodia and some really awesome fan demanded characters. So my question for you is this: will the pre-order model continue for that line, or will you be transitioning into pre-sales with those as well?
It's probably a bit more pre-order because even for us, like when we were going into this last wave, like I felt pretty good about Melodia specifically. I was like, Melodia is going to do fine, but I wasn't sure on hardware and tune. I just wasn't sure. And I think for all of us, we had felt that this line might be getting a little long in the tooth and we weren't sure how it was going to do. And I will say that we were surprised. So this last wave with Melodia and hardware and tune and all that wave actually performed better than the wave before it. So that's been really exciting because then it's like, oh, wait, okay, maybe there going to be, as we get away from core characters, are we going to have enough people here to keep this line going? And to our surprise, it did, better than we thought. So that actually makes us feel really good about the next wave or two or how far we can go. So I'm feeling really good about it actually. But once again, this just I can never remember anymore because I'm living in 27. I mean, did this pre-order close yet or not? I can't even remember.
Yeah, it did close.
But I know in general, like we were surprised by the response to this wave. It was stronger than we expected. Like I said, I expected Melodia, but I was very nervous about the other characters. And then they performed well too. So, it really does set up that we should be able to keep going. But I would say that most likely the next wave of SilverHawks will also be a pre-order and if it continues to bump back up rather than coming back down, then we'll be like, okay, we feel really good that we know we've got this many people and we can really keep going forward for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I would say that, it felt like Thunderhawks felt like SilverHawks was possibly getting to the point where maybe we had got everything everybody wanted, but I was really happy with this. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a solid wave. I think every figure lends its own, you know, weight of excitement to it. And, Melodia looks great.
Yeah.
It's just the colors really pop. It's just a very like happening and like vibrant assortment of figures, man. It's awesome. But I did want to ask about the super packs because I did forget about mentioning that. Is
Yeah.
this something that you're going to continue in the future with Thundercats and SilverHawks? Is because I really like the idea of doing that.
Yeah, and that's sort of not to be crass about it, but that's sort of a thank you to anybody that's buying it direct from us, because it is better for us if you buy it directly from us. So, how do we give a little bonus thank you from ordering directly from Super 7? And that's what the Super Pack's all about. It's because you're saying thank you to somebody that's also supporting the line as a whole.
Right.
They're not sort of just picking out a figure here or a figure there. They're
buying
like,
the whole
no, I'm supporting your whole line. And so
Right.
therefore I get these extra things.
It's a great incentive. And I'm kind of glad that Wizra actually wasn't in this wave because, that potentially has an opportunity to have him in a wave that has a super pack. Because I think it would be really cool if we had a Mumra with the Wizra headpiece.
I wouldn't know what you were talking about. Never heard of
epic.
it. That's really
Dude.
Huh.
That would be so epic. So I'm
Very
so glad that he's not coming out for Christmas. That's all I could say. But so with Reaction Plus, I gotta tell you, man, like I'm an articulation dude. Like I love and I appreciate vintage stuff. I'm not that big into reaction because I can't do a lot with them.
Mhm.
All the reactions that I own, they're like mint on card on my wall, and they look great and I appreciate them for what they are. But Reaction Plus, I love the fact that you've expanded into like Universal Monsters and stuff like that. Are there any plans to incorporate the Rankin Bass universe into Reaction Plus?
No comment.
Okay. That's a good answer.
I will say it's something we've definitely talked about. It's not in 26, but we're definitely looking at something like that for maybe 27. But it really sort of depends. Like, what I don't want to do is then make it be like, oh my God, you're killing me. You're making too much stuff. So.
Understood. And I'm curious to know about a little wave that was supposed to come out first quarter of 2020.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out in 1943 and still not out. That is on the schedule for January.
When are these creatures
people showing up
surfacing from the depths of the ocean?
That's January.
January 26th?
January 26th.
Is that like official?
Well, that's official.
And are we looking at what, a 3-wave assortment, a 3-figure assortment, 4-figure assortment?
I'm trying to remember right now if it's 3 or 4. I'm living in next year. I can't remember, but it will be a pre-order, not a pre-sale.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense. So, January, is there any possibility of seeing any kind of sneak peeks towards the end of the year, or are you going to just wait for 2026 to be on the calendar?
I think if you're talking about what we want to, if you're talking about it from a, let's talk about my job as managing the content and the flow of product, it's like, we're going to want to talk about what's happening in the moment. So we're going to be like, all right, hey, here's this stuff is landing, this stuff is arriving. We're going to want to talk about the stuff that's happening right then. So we probably really won't talk about it till we get to basically right at January, only because there's plenty to talk about in between now and then. And so let's not, I don't know, let's not give, I want to make sure we give that stuff that it's time to shine.
Again, we got this really cool fan art from Miguel Bayong. He did such an awesome job. And, he reached out to me this morning and he's like, dude, can I do some cartoons for your interview? And I'm like, go for it, bro. And he's like, wow, he just did this tiger shark. I just gave him like a quick doodle and he just he just did this cartoon. It's so freaking cool.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you because I don't know if you remember or if you're ever part of that world, but back in the day when McFarlane was like, it was like their heyday before they started this whole DC universe thing. They had their message boards, or like it's like the McFarlane message board or fan club or something. They used to do something really cool that I haven't seen any other toy creator do, and I thought it was really exciting. And it wouldn't give things away, but it would build hype. And it was silhouettes. They would show these very high res silhouettes, and that's all. And then people had this guessing game, like, holy shit, what is that? Is that spikes in the back? It's like what? And it was so exciting, you know. So I think something like at the end of the year, like a New Year's Eve gift or something would be cool for you guys to show like a silhouette.
You're just like, if you're not going to tell me which figures it is, then you give me a silhouette. And if you're not going to give me a silhouette, then I want a line list. And if
you do it like a group shit, you do it like a group shot, and then everybody bleeds into each other. Yeah. So you know what I mean? I'm just really honestly saying that not because I'm trying to get as much information out of you.
No. I don't want it to be negative. I just think the people that we have here that are in charge of PR are very specific about how they feel is the best way to bring the information out so that the most people see it and we get the most traction out of it. Yeah. So I don't expect that they're going to want to really like do a long tease into it. It's more like, no. We'll start teasing it a week or so beforehand and really focus on the moment. And I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain that, at the same time, I'm sure it's going to be very easy for most people to guess pretty much who's going to be in wave one,
Well, yeah, I mean, like from what you did with SilverHawks, I'm thinking you're probably going to do like T-Ray, like do like the main hero and the main villain in wave one or between wave 1 and 2. It depends, because with SilverHawks, there was 2 iterations of the villain. So you were able to do one in the first wave and another one in the second wave. But, it'll be interesting to see how that rolls out. But yeah, ever since you announced Tiger Sharks, people have just been like, really like, it's like that meme. It's like, you got them Tiger Sharks.
Yeah. Man, just a little bit of that Tiger Sharks. They're coming. I was going to try to look at the calendar here real quick, but it's not working. So,
as far as Ultimates are concerned, you're doing the 2012 Turtles. Are you? What's going on with D&D?
You mean the 2003 Turtles? Hello? Did we lose Jorge?
I'm not sure what happened there, Brian. We did actually lose. Yeah, he dropped off for a second. It's really weird. We have some technical difficulties.
Hey, everybody, we're getting back here. You got the man behind the scenes over here.
I'm just here. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying the conversation, and it's been wonderful listening to both of you guys discuss this. And I don't know if you've been seeing it, Brian. I'm pretty sure you have. There's a lot of love in the chat.
Well, there's a bunch of comments, but I'm usually talking to looking at him, so I'm not getting to read.
It's been very positive. I mean, a lot of people are just expressing their admiration, and a lot of people are saying thank you so much for. I'll bring up a couple here so we can react to them a little bit.
Yeah, let's
if you don't mind.
Some comments.
Yeah, that'll be great. So let's take a look here. Of course, everyone's wondering what happened to WizRaw, but that was answered a little bit earlier. Yeah. The scheduling and of course leaks are things that happen all the time, unfortunately. But now we know that this is a 2 figure wave, and we are excited to.
Also, excited. I think it's important here that we had a technical issue on this upcoming wave. So on King Lion-O, the belt in the render is not the belt on the toys. So that is. We sent the wrong file to our internal rendering team. It's not the file that is at the factory and not the one that got made. And I wish I literally have another sample in the mail so I literally hold it up, but I can't yet. But the King Lion-O that is coming has the correct belt with all the insignias on it.
Oh my god, that is
the
okay,
render. The render was an older file, and it doesn't have
Sorry
the
about
updated
that.
belt. So I think it's important. I want to just for everybody that's
Holy
asking
crap.
or wondering what's
Oh
going
my
on.
God.
It's that was an updated file, obviously using parts from an older toy. So the one that's actually being made has the correct belt, but when we sent the file to our team to render it up, we sent the wrong belt.
So that's something that JP and I were wondering about so much. So JP, if you just missed that, Brian has just confirmed that the correct belt with all of the insignias collected throughout the trials is actually the one that's going to be included with.
Yeah. And like I said,
basically
there's another sample, like, because it's getting ready to ship. So we've got one being mailed over, and I don't have it to hold up, but then I can be like, no, it's finished, tool done. It's got the correct belt. But when we sent the files to be rendered, they were not correct.
That's bonkers. That's awesome news.
I do have one. Okay, so yeah, go ahead for that one.
So this was a pretty good question from Ultra Mago 3. Condor's antenna on the side of his head, is it going to be sticking up like it's supposed to?
It should. So it hasn't gone to tool. I'll double check, but yeah, there may be another thing of just sometimes left hand, right hand, a little bit there.
Yeah, sometimes the renders don't always come out the way they're.
Well, it's also sort of like, you're moving and spinning things and rearranging parts so that they look correct, when you're rendering them. And sometimes things ever move, sometimes. Most of the time we catch all that stuff.
Okay.
But sometimes it slips through the cracks, 100%. This one is probably, I'm not sure you can answer this question or not, but Micah does have a super chat here, which we would like to just acknowledge. Brian, Black Star?
There's Brave Star, Black Star. There's a lot of that stuff that would be really awesome to make, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Usually the reason that it's not being made is because it's caught up in controversy. But like, this person owns part of it, this person owns part of it. They don't get along, or no one's sure who owns what. So there's a couple licenses like that we've been trying to get for years. There's one that just got announced recently. We were like, I've been asking for that for 4 years. Like, how did that get announced by somebody else? And like, but a lot of it is, it's the same reason. Like, the easiest example is Blade Runner. Blade Runner is three different millionaires that own a third each of Blade Runner, and they all hate each other.
Crazy.
And so if one of them wants to do something, the other two say, no, screw you. So that's why nothing ever gets made for Blade Runner.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Because you're like, you think about it, you're like, why does nothing get made for Blade Runner? Like, why does nothing get made for Mad Max? Well, that's because the director doesn't like product. So he says, no, I don't want product made. And the people at the studio want the next Mad Max movie. So they say, okay, we're not going to make any product. But I mean, come on. Like, the fact that there isn't a humongous toy is kind of insane.
It goes hand in hand. That's kind of like what people are used to, consumers. You watch a movie, you want collectibles.
We're preaching to the choir, though. All right.
I mean, it's crazy. I don't know what I did, man, but I just kind of like swiped my hand, like I did like a Jedi move over my mouse pad.
I'm done with you.
And I exited the freaking chat, dude.
Yeah,
but I was just about to ask, what's up with D&D animated? Like, I know that a lot of it was resting on the Tiamat's performance.
Yeah, Tiamat seems to be doing all right. I would say it's still in limbo. I would love nothing more to make it, and quite frankly, we've sculpted a bunch of it already. I don't know. In a perfect world, the way I'd really love to try to do it would be some sort of like, almost like, I hate to call it a Kickstarter, but like, hey, we got to get to this point or not. Are there enough people? I think there's a lot of people that love that line, but not enough. But we're gonna see. I don't know. I just don't know.
A Kickstarter would be cool, especially like if you focus on
legally. It becomes there's a whole lot of issues around it legally and how we report stuff. Like, if you're a small company, it's not a big deal, but like where we are and the way our contracts are done, like, and if you're taking money, but when are you taking money, and what are you doing, and are you promising something? Like there's a whole bunch of weird hurdles around that. But yeah, I mean, we scripted out like 6 waves of D&D Ultimates because I mean, I was getting real nerdy real quick. I mean, why do you think there's Shadow Warriors,
So early
right
in,
in the beginning,
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, I honestly like I have the Hasbro figures. I haven't even opened them, dude. I just have them because of like the nerd, the imagery and the fact that that was all you could own back then, until you announced the Ultimate stuff. But I haven't even opened them because I heard a lot of bad things about them too. And obviously Ultimates is a better arena because you have the different portraits, the different accessories. Hasbro is just like one pair of hands, like one head. It's like you don't really have that um variation of accessories and the way to change display modes on the characters and stuff like that. So it's I'm hopeful that that'll keep going forward and that we'll see some new ones in the future. um but
Yeah,
like you said, it has to be done at the right time.
it's like I would love nothing more than to make them. It's one of those properties that right now I think is just sitting right in the middle between, there's a lot of people that want it, but not enough people. But we'll just kind of have to see. Like as Tiamat continues to go, we'll just have to see how that really kind of nets out, and then we'll see. We'll see. I mean, trust me, if nothing, the guys from Toys Hunter Hollow text me on a daily basis asking when the next wave is coming out. Great dudes.
Yeah, they're super super cool guys.
No, they're wonderful, but yeah, it's like they are ready. They are ready, and they are organizing the team.
So I wanted to ask you because like we keep talking about with Thundercats, is like you've gone so far down the well, and of course there is still a lot of awesome um ancillary characters, villains, mutants, things like that. But how many Lionos? How many Tigers? The Panthers?
Yeah.
But here's the thing: I got the answer for you. Why don't you start delving into the 2012 Cartoon Network animated series?
I can't talk about that.
Like, give us a 2012 Liono.
I can't talk about that.
Mix it in with Rankin Bass.
Yeah, that would be a really good idea if we were going to do something like that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, dude. I mean, honestly, I could say I was really excited back then when the animated series was announced and everything. There wasn't really anything out there aside from, I think, Hard Hero was doing like a Thundercats line for statues. And I was excited, but Bandai was all over the place, dude. They changed the scales. They were inconsistent with the figures. Like, they gave you 2 4-inch figures. They gave you 2 LJN homage figures. It was just a hot mess. And there was these concept, and I think they were sculpted out and everything, that were like these more like collector-based 2012 highly articulated figures. And I think it was Action Figure Digest that posted images of Lionel, and that thing looked so rad. And I think if you guys were to give it the ultimate treatment, that would be such an awesome figure, dude. Especially now with also you got Dynamite Comics in the mix. Yep. Although, quite frankly, I'm more partial to the 2012 look for Lionel. I think it's unique enough to justify a new figure, because the new comics is basically the same Lionel, but he's wearing pants. It's not really too much of a difference. But the 2012 is very different aesthetic and design. You know what I mean? And
I am keenly aware of exactly what's going on there.
That's a very refreshing response from you on that matter. But yeah, no, I did really want to know about D&D, because obviously that's another really awesome property. And is there any other like brand announcements or any licensing that is in the horizon that may be announced as far as joining the the Ultimate family, anytime soon?
I don't know when announcements will happen. There's going to be a really big one for deluxe, though. That'll be really cool. That I think people
Big one in the sense of scale.
If it's deluxe, you know what it is. So
right.
There's
But
another
it's a big one, so it's like a big character,
big license.
Big license. Okay,
yeah.
And that's something that I wanted to ask you about DX. Obviously, you can't shrink Mumra. So how do you bring Mumra to DX? Like, would he be a higher?
This is where the magic comes in. This is where the magic comes in.
You got the jazz hands. You figure it all out.
Cha, cha, cha. Yeah. We're working on it. Don't worry, we're working on it.
Cool.
That because that's another one where it's the same. Like, how do you do it? But he's big. But we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
That's awesome. I want to see if there's any good questions here from anybody.
I've seen a couple pop up about MF Doom. Like, we're trying. We're working on it.
An MF Doom Ultimate would be awesome. So awesome. Let me see.
If we do have a bunch of great comments coming in, guys. I did want to just highlight the super chats just so that we can get
let's do that.
Recognize all those guys. Laser Pants says hi, Brian. How are you doing?
Howdy, Laser Pants.
And Snell's World, ever revisit the Cobra ship at a more competitive price? Is there any chance?
We've talked about it internally that we would love to come back to it. I don't know if there's a more competitive price for it. It's gigantic. There's just, big pieces, big tooling. That's all there is. But we've talked about whether or not at some point there's an interest in possibly bringing it back now that the O-Ring, the Reaction Plus line is doing great and people are excited about it. But not in the plans at the moment.
A quick follow-up question. Do we know who owns SilverHawks now? I didn't even
Warner
know.
Brothers owns SilverHawks.
Still. Okay. Anybody else I saw some really good questions. So circling back to the Tiamat question, did it sell well enough to go for another round of Dungeons and Dragons Ultimate?
It's still working its way through, but it's feeling pretty good. As far as did it do well enough and everything, it's still a little up in the air, but it's doing well. So it's a good sign. But like I said, we're all just going to have to kind of be cautious and take our time a little bit with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a really good one from our friend Motu Comic. Brian, will you continue with illustrations on the back of the boxes? And I think the reason he's mentioning this is because King Lion-O is rendering of the.
Yeah, they're both renders. There are some outside reasons that I cannot get into on why, but unfortunately they will not be illustrations. They will be renders for the time being.
Okay.
One more question. This one's actually interesting because I'm kind of interested in this too. Any more planned to get the deluxe treatment? For example, G.I. Joe, would they be for the DX line perhaps?
It would be lovely to do. No on G.I. Joe specifically, because then it would be a direct competition to what's going on in classified. So no.
That's an interesting. Yep, that makes a lot of sense. That totally makes sense.
But there are some other deluxes that we are talking about. And obviously there's another license that we'll announce a little bit later at that point too.
Yeah. CB Hunts is actually asking, are we going to get Panthro and the Thunder Kittens in the DX line?
I can't tell you what's coming out yet. I can tell you what's out now, but I can't tell you what's coming out next. Sorry, CB.
Everybody wants to know.
But it would make a lot of sense. I can't tell you who, what, when, where,
if you
how,
follow
why.
Super7's track record so far, there's the answer.
Here's a good one. When are we going to get the Wave 2 of SilverHawks Reaction?
I don't think we're going to get Wave 2 of SilverHawks Reaction. SilverHawks Reaction Wave 1 did a wonderful swan dive to the deep end.
Oh no!
I'll rephrase it. It performed surprisingly poorly. Where you're like, whoa, nobody wanted that.
That's crazy. I can't see why. They're the right scale. the right color.
It's one of those things that you just never know, and that's, you'll have a wave of something that you don't expect to do well. It does phenomenal, and you'll have something that you expect to do really well, and it does terrible. It's surprising sometimes. I mean, in here, I'll use it as the same example. The 5.5-inch vintage line for Thundercats did terrible. I thought people were going to like that, but no. And then there's vintage 5.5. Vince Panthro was shown at the con. Is that coming in time for Christmas? No, nobody wanted those 5.5-inch Thundercats, which boggles my mind.
Wow.
So,
okay, well, here's one.
Sad.
Mm-hmm. Leo Convoy, why is Thundercats logo incorrect on the Fast 5 waves of figures? Where do you source your colors and character charts from?
When he said, which Thundercats logo is he talking about?
Yeah,
that's not very specific. I mean, in certain cases,
this is an LJN homage.
So I was about to say,
exactly. This is made to be that way,
and that is exactly the way. That's exactly the way it is in the original toy, because I have it and I love it. And so that was such a great.
Are we talking about belt logos? Are we talking about packaging? Like, what are we talking about?
It's gotta be belt logo. I don't think he could.
Okay, the one on the toys.
So are we talking about the belt logo here?
I'm guessing that's
which toy though? Like, he's not being very specific.
He's saying that every single one in the last 5 waves was incorrect.
He's not talking.
I don't think that's actually true. I mean, I've seen the tempo is very good in most of them. So
yeah, I'm not sure.
On the logos on the figures, I've never really had a problem with any of them. They look pretty good to me.
He's saying that they're reversed. They're facing the wrong direction.
No, I don't think so. They look fine to me. Fascinating.
I
don't know. That sounds like a very.
It's kind of spacious. It's kind of spacious, but they're not reversed. Okay, well, all right. You'll prove it. Okay, well, I mean, that's sure. Leo Convoy does have a channel, so you guys can take a look, and probably he's going to make a video on that. Any chance the Palmyra has an accurate? That's a good question. That's probably a question that I think a lot of people would like to know.
But you guys did make a shorter Palmyra than Mattel's. I mean,
yes, ours is shorter.
It was.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you pick up the Super 7 Ultimates, she is shorter because I believe the heels or the platform on the heels is not as high, right?
Yeah.
And as far as Lyle Convoy is saying, we're not using it from Google Images. That would be incorrect. We get all of the logos directly from Tim, who has all the Thundercats archives and all the original art. So that's where we're getting it from.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that pretty much. I think that answers the actual question 100%. Okay. I think that's there's a lot of great comments here. We just can't get to every single one of them.
No, of course.
We want to thank.
If you look at CB Hunt's question there, if you look at the deluxe Lino, there was a running change actually made on that too. So there are actually 2 ever so slightly different skin tones along the way. So the ones that hit the shelves in the beginning, the color was a little bit off. If you look at the ones that, if you ordered one now, on the regular Lino.
Oh, okay.
If you look at the one, if you were to order one right now and it would show up, it would be a slightly different skin tone.
Oh, so it's not because I did get one from you guys and it was it looked like kind of like a semi-translucent finish on the main skin.
I can't speak to that. That seemed a little bit it just wasn't the color was really close but not quite. And so as it was going, like, same thing. This is what we approved. This is what goes into a lot of times, even when the paint is drying, it'll change colors ever so slightly. So we actually made a running change on that. Because like the first batch came and then we made a second batch, and then the second batch has a slightly changed skin tone. So if you were to order one right now and get it, because also the thing is with the deluxes, they stay in stock for a while. That's the point. Is you will see that skin tone has been changed.
So it matches the Ultimate one a little closer. Is that what it is?
I don't have it here.
I recently got the LED Lino, And
Yeah, we're talking about the deluxes though.
yeah, okay. So the deluxe, but I'm saying the deluxe Rankin Bass one, right?
The
The animal-
deluxe regular sort of core. Here's my Lion-O.
right.
There's a change in the skin tone as we went through it, so it moves more accurate.
Okay. Yeah, this makes sense because it makes sense that obviously the paint hits are going to be.
Hey, I want to address this here real quick though.
Which one? Oh,
Guess that's why Tim shills the toys so much. Then LOL. It's like, that's just I would say that's just basically a shitty thing to say. Like the dude has done more for Thundercats archives than anybody else on the planet. He has everything, and he's gone out of his way to spend an insane amount of money to pull it all together. And he freely gives the logos away to anybody that wants to use them so that they have the correct logos on the packaging. So if you want, like, so when Trick or Treat did the sword, like they said, hey, can we get that logo? And I was like, well, go to Tim. Tim is the source of that. And Tim gave them the logo for free. Tim doesn't get paid anything for all that stuff.
Right.
So, I feel like once again, we're all a bunch of nerdy toy collectors here. So the idea that you're going to be angry or elitist against another one of your own that's helping to get stuff done, I feel like that's just kind of shitty. Yeah. And I'm not trying to be a complete dick about it, but it's like, why are you hating on Tim for helping people? And he's not shilling. He's excited. The man collects Thundercats. Is Jorge shilling right now? Like, are they shilling or are they just excited about the toys? Like, that it's somehow all negative, that it's somehow all in some sort of like caught up, like that they've got to be doing this for their ego or this is whatever. It's like, no, like the man has never asked for anything. Like, I just find it when everybody's going to shit on somebody else that's doing this stuff. It's like same thing. You might not like your podcast, but you put, an hour and 12 minutes into it minimum before you even get to editing it or putting it up online or whatever. It's like, he's putting in his time. So you can like it, but you don't need to crap on it. Just say it's not for me. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. And I feel like, that negative attitude within the toy industry and within especially the YouTube verse is so like, none of this is cool to anyone else besides a very small group of people. So if you're going to try to then fracture and alienate the few people that are here, just come on.
Cool. You know what? I gotta say,
you can put us to task for doing things incorrectly, but don't ruin the other people.
Absolutely, 100%. And look, I have a 5-year-old. I have a family. I just came from work, hauled ass, got down here to do this for my love for the brand. I'm not getting anything in return. I'm not getting paid. You know what I mean? I just love to spread awareness and just champion the brand, because for me, I'm winning if we get to every single figure that I want made. That's you know what I mean?
But also for him, if he's like, no, you've got the wrong logos, then it's like, let's have a constructive criticism about improving, not a destructive criticism about tearing other people down. That's all. So Lyle Convoy here may have a very, very valid point that we should look into 100%, but you don't need to destroy somebody else to make your point. That's all. I've talked too much about this. I apologize.
The reality is, guys, that we are so grateful and humbled that that Brian has taken time out of his day to come.
And let's not even frame it like that. Look, you can argue very well. It's my job to make sure I'm talking to you guys. I want you to help support the line or whatever. So I don't want to not be, you can take me to task on things that are, same thing. Like, hey, you've got the wrong logo. Okay, let's talk about this, but let's move about it in a way to make it a positive change. Like, I'll be the first to tell you we got something wrong. Just like somebody's like, why is the color of that Lion-O wrong? We're like, yeah, it was wrong, and then we switched it. Like, there are a million things out of our control, and we can talk about that logo, but we don't need to talk about that logo in a way that destroys other people that are here for the same reasons we are. There's not enough of us to go around.
I agree 100%.
So
Totally agree.
like I said, like let's find out what's bothering and get into it. So
Yeah.
that's
100%. But
all right.
at the end,
Now I've ruined this.
No,
no.
This is
You
real,
know what,
dude.
Brian?
This is
You know,
real
Brian,
stuff, you know?
the reality is that, you know what, everyone is entitled to their opinion, but at the end of the day, we are a community and we want to be able to have an open dialogue and conversation. And this is exactly, you know, what is, you know, sometimes a problem with the community, but at the same time, if we don't address these things, you know, sometimes it just gets swept under the rug. And I'm glad, you know, thank you for addressing that head on. But at the end of the day, guys, this is a positive environment. We want to be here and we want to support each other, as Brian had mentioned. It makes sense. You know, why would we be knocking each other down? We really need to. I told this once to somebody because a lot of people seem to think that, you know what, oh, if you sell toys or if you go and put everything at retail, it will sell 100% for adult collectibles. I told this to somebody and they really quickly figured this out. I said, I dare you to grab Tigra and Chitara, both of these, walk over to your neighbor's door and say, hey, knock on the door. The first person who answers, especially if it's an adult, say, do you want to play with my toys with me? It would be great. I guarantee you the answer is not what you would. The answer might not be. Right. So there are very few of us. There are very few of us, and we need to support each other. Brian's correct. Brian's
100% agree, man.
Yeah.
And I do apologize, Brian, because you know it's
no.
Cool.
I also don't want to feel like it's attack Lyle Convoy thing. Like, hey, he's got a question that I want to address,
right?
And I want to find out the answer. I want to give him the same respect that I'm giving to the other people that are answering the questions. Right. So he's valid in that. But while being valid at that, don't diss the other people. Like that's all. So I don't want this to be pile on Lyle Convoy Day.
No, of course not.
Never.
No,
again, we're a community and we all have to respect each other. I think that's really the message that has to be put forward.
Absolutely.
But anyway,
back to Myra. We did make her shorter, but I think everybody would like her shorter as well. If we get to her in deluxe, I think we would probably go back and tweak tooling on that.
Okay, that's a good opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like if she's going to come back around again, then yeah, let's tweak it and make it better because 100%. Let's try to make it better every single time.
Absolutely. And guys, just to put a bow on this, please don't send any comments over to Leo Convoy. I mean, like again,
no, we don't want to make it a pylon on him either.
Yeah, we have addressed it, and again, Brian says it's true. He does have valid comments, and we're all of us are trying to figure out ways to make things right. So at the end of the day, you know, his comments are not any less than anyone else's. So, and that's I think we'll go.
Let's move on to some of the more. Let's end it on a high note, though.
Yes, let's definitely end it on a high note.
So I have a few questions regarding Ultimates that's in the music vein. I'm a rocker. I love, you know, more like not so much the classic rock. You know, obviously we're a different age, but
what do you think is classic rock? I remember as being contemporary. What are you saying?
No, I mean it's crazy because I listen to classic rock nowadays, and it's like Chili Peppers is playing, and I'm like, that's not classic rock. You know what I mean?
It's just
classic rock is Zeppelin. You know, it's freaking Leonard.
That's how you know that's how you know we're aging out there.
Yeah.
Well, haven't you heard that on restaurants? There's a whole like psychological theory on restaurants that you play the music, the customer that you want, you play the music in the restaurant from when they were 17. That's how you determine what your customer base will be inside your restaurant.
You know, that's genius because I walked into a restaurant recently, and it's kind of like a sports bar type restaurant. And you know, sports bars, they're always playing sports. I'm not a sports guy. I don't care for who's playing baseball or who's playing football or who's playing basketball. And I walked into this place, and yeah, they had a bunch of TVs playing sports, but they had this one TV playing MTV music videos circa late 90s, early 2000s, dude. And I told my wife, holy shit, this is exactly the vibe that I want when I go dine out and have some drinks. Because I feel like, why isn't there a place for where you can vibe and have a drink that doesn't involve sports? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I completely agree with you on that. And kind of segueing from there is my question was about ultimates and music. So
Right.
you've done Metallica, you've done a lot of cool stuff like
We haven't
Beastie.
done Metallica.
No, you did. Well, you've done
ACDC.
one of their members. You did a figure of
Well, we did Cliff.
of Cliff.
That's right.
Yes,
Yeah, we did Cliff.
but you've never done Metallica as
We've never done
the
Metallica
whole
proper.
band. So Metallica, for example,
We would look. We've been trying to do Metallica for 7-8 years. We just
really,
haven't been able to do it.
the Peppers would be a really awesome. There's so many different. If you look at Mother's Milk.
See, for me, the Chili Peppers ends when Hillel Slovak dies. So
Wow. Okay. So that's like you stop there.
I stop
so
at Uplift Mofo Party Plan. I'm like the
Oh,
rest of
wow.
this stuff. I'm not really that into.
See, like
but
the heavy funk. I get you. Yeah, no, for me it's like Blood Sugar Sex Magic. And I think like after that they kind of just changed.
well, I think it's all your time in it as well. I think
That's true.
what we've seen in general is that ultimates don't really perform in music the same way. Is that the music fan is not the person that's buying our music figures, generally speaking, is not a toy collector. They're
Right.
a music fan. And so what they're really reacting to is it's a low price point and it has the artwork that I remember. And this is cool and this is fun. And I'll have a couple of these, but I'm not a toy collector. The toy collector wants the ultimate, but the toy collector that also wants the ultimate of that band, that Venn diagram gets smaller. And when we make those ultimates, the casual music fan is like, I'm not spending $65 on a figure of the Beastie Boys or whatever. They're just
Right.
not interested in it that same way. Give me the $20 version. That's enough of the nostalgia for me. So
Yeah,
that's what we've seen so far. Ghost is an outlier. Ghost does extremely well in Ultimates. So
Yeah,
CB
it's
is
kinda
hoping
like
for a different version of Notorious B.I.G.
look, we may have some BIG coming out in some way soon.
Oh, there we go.
cool.
There's other looks there. We originally we were trying to do the Coogie sweater, but we couldn't get the Coogie people in Australia to license us or give us permission to use it or even pay a royalty fee for the stripes. They were just like, no.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy how much stuff like gets in the way in terms of roadblocks to getting things done.
Because they own a patent on the way that those sweaters are woven out of like leftover yarn. And so every single one of them is different. And so even if you replicate it, they sue people because it's like, no, that's our thing. So like when the Brooklyn Nets did the one where they had like the stripe insets, they did like the Biggie style versions that had like the Coogie looking type pattern. They got sued for it. So like you can't make anything with that pattern even without getting sued by them.
So I think this will bring it to an interesting last question. What are the chances of doing a Thundercats Safubi?
There's a lot of roadblocks in there. That would be difficult right now. I think our biggest problem right there is that we made soft vinyl, in Japan for, since 2001. And it is much more popular now than it's ever been. And the sort of tricky part is that we went and found the original factories that made stuff in the 60s and we started working with them. But you're still second in line behind a Japanese buyer at those factories if you're an American. Because we've been doing business there so long, any of the other Japanese factories we go to, they're like, oh, we don't want to work with you because we don't want to make them angry because we know them and we're friends and you're their customer.
Yeah.
So we get stuck with it being very difficult for us to get product out on the vinyl side, which is really too bad.
Yep.
But
I think since we didn't cover this part will probably be our last comment, but I think this is a good one. Brian, I just scooped up all 4 2003 TMNT figures, and they're by far my top figure of the year. Excellent job.
Well, thank you. I think they turned out wonderfully. They did a
really
great job. The whole team did an awesome job on that, and the other 4 are coming soon, I believe. Shredder and Casey and everybody, that should land here pretty soon.
And I think that really goes to JP's question that, additional articulation is possible, like there are new molds coming out.
Yeah, we had a clean reset there, so I felt like it really made a lot of sense. That customer really grew up on something different like that. So I think if there was a clean reset on Thundercats, there would be a way for it.
Cartoon Network.
Perfect
timing. Perfect timing.
You just can't go there.
Hey, 2000s collectors were really into double jointed knees and elbows, man. I mean,
I think Brian isn't going to take any more of those types of questions tonight. So, guys, first of all, we want to thank Brian for giving us a lot of his time tonight. It's been absolutely
it's been awesome, man. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to us.
Of course. I mean, I'm talking about toys.
Yeah,
and
with how shitty things are in the world right now, these moments are very important and very therapeutic for a lot of people. Just transporting themselves to this nerd world and talking about plastic crack and action figures. It's something that a lot of us need right now. We just need to find that wholesome fun in these moments and forget about all the crappy things out there, man.
Yeah, for all of us, I think when we get into this, it's a way to not think about, so an escape to a degree. We don't have to think about the rest of the other stuff. You get to turn your brain off for a little while and have fun with all this stuff.
Absolutely.
So that's the goal.
Really quickly, not that you don't even have to answer this one, but I did just want to mention this. Melvor says, I thought the Super 7 Motu figures fit in better than with the vintage ones. I hope you guys can get the license back to continue the line. And I totally agree. I love what you guys do.
I would love to. I mean, obviously that is Mattel's baby, and they're doing a lot of really great stuff with it, and they're doing a lot of experimentation with it, and you're getting more Motu than you've ever gotten in a long time. I'd love for there to be a place for us in that world, but that's really up to them. I'm always here, girl. Give me a call. We asked at one point not too long ago, I say not too long ago, in the last 18 months, and they were just like, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
So, but that can always change. You never know when that's going to change.
Hey, the movie opens up so many opportunities for so many different things. So anything's possible at this time.
Yeah.
100%.
Brian,
yeah.
Thank you again for joining us. We really appreciate it. Guys, if you have any other questions,
for having me.
You guys, if you have any other questions, please leave them in the comment section below. We will send them to Brian. And of course, thank you again, JP. Thank you again for being here, brother. That's always awesome to say. Do you want to say anything to our viewers on Instagram before we log off?
No, always a pleasure. For all of our Spanish viewers, muchas gracias por participar en esta entrevista con Brian. Espero que lo hayan disfrutado. Suscríbase al canal de Thundercats Lair para todas las noticias y entrevistas nuevas que van a estar ocurriendo. So basically, subscribe to Thundercats Lair, guys. Me and Mega J are really trying to make this a one-stop shop for everything Thundercats, whether it's episode reviews, interviews like today, special kind of content. We really want to expand, have like a digital encyclopedia, if you will, of Thundercats on YouTube. So spread the word, tell your friends, subscribe to the Thundercats Lair, and thank you everybody for tuning in today.
Thank you, guys. We will catch you next time on Thundercats Lair.
All right, Brian. Take care, buddy. We'll see you soon.